There is no historical context that gives you reason to trust white people as a person of color. So if you trust them for any reason at any level, you are dumb. There's no way around it. I'm sorry. If you trust them, believe them, think that they are for you, allies with you, and they turn out not to be, that's your fault. You're stupid. Because historically, there is no reason to trust them.
I don't trust white people with God, no. I won't let them tell me nothing about God. It ain't right. It just seems like they don't know him. It's like they be telling you, be like, you don't know him, man. Just stop, all right? See, the Lord understands you, Michael. I'm like, no, that ain't, you don't know who you talking about. Black people know God, man. We've been through so much. We know God, and we always begging him for something. So, you know, we didn't force the relationship on this man. Your grandmama been bugging him since 1802. She done prayed to him 400 times a day. You know, God got a prayer line, and when he hit and see the black people, he said, oh, Lord, here we go. Let me see what he gonna want now.
I don't trust white people. I don't trust white people for a multitude of reasons, but one of the main reasons is they're unpredictable. Like, I think about all the times where I really considered white people my friends, and then when we got in a small argument, they released all the racism they hid throughout our whole friendship. Scary. And then I think about the fact that I become mutuals with people, give them the opportunity to come clean about any problematic past. They say nothing, and then they get exposed for being racist. And it's never like some low-key, like I used to say the N-word in songs. No, it's like N-word hard R against black people. Like tell me why white people are normalizing racist past. Also, I think about the fact that white people have continuously, when given the opportunity, oppressed multiple marginalized communities. And I think about the fact how easy it is for them to do it again. Like, if they really wanted to, they would bring slavery back. They kind of already did with the criminal justice system. Plus the rate of hate crimes. I will legit always be scared of white people until they're the minority.
Life, if I learned anything, it's not to trust white people. That's the truth. I don't care. Like, that's the truth. No offense. White people will be there for you because it's a trend. But at the end of the day, if it's them or you, they're gonna pick themselves.
Let's talk about that, though, because if a black person is saying, well, I don't really trust white people like that, why would they be saying that? Where is that coming from? I'm going to let you know. I'm going to break it down for you real quick. So pay attention and watch this video all the way to the end, okay? Now, have you ever been in a relationship, okay, where you're with somebody and they're telling you, I love you, I care about you, I want to be with you, and you find that throughout the relationship, their words are not matching up with their actions. Like, you just said that you love me, you care about me, you want to be with me, but yet you're doing these things that are giving me a completely different message, right? I talk to you about different issues, different behaviors you're engaging in that I don't like, and I ask you, please, let's don't do that. Let's stop that, because that's causing a problem in our relationship. It's causing me not to trust you. So let's stop doing that and do this instead. And you're like, oh, I feel you. I got you. I love you. I care about you. I'm not going to do that anymore. But then you still keep doing it. Saying one thing with your mouth, but you're doing something else every day with your actions, and they're not lining up. And what does that do? It causes a schism, right? It causes division. It causes a lack of trust. And so when you hear black people saying, I don't trust white people, I don't mess with white people like that, it's because there has been a schism. There has been a division, and there has been a breach of the trust. Because what a lot of white folks have done, if we just only look at the past 4 years, forget about history. That's a whole other thing. Just let's look at the past 4 years since 2020. So many self-proclaimed white allies were saying, Black Lives Matter, and yes, for equality and equity and reparations, and we're standing against racial injustice, and we're fighting against white supremacy culture and all this stuff with their mouth, right? Maybe on social media. And then what happened with their actions? Their actions weren't lining up. That's why I'm always telling you, don't talk about it, be about it. Let your actions speak for themselves. You don't have to go around telling people, I'm not racist. I may be white, but I'm not racist. What are you talking about? We don't need you to tell us. Show us. Show us through your actions. That's how we'll know you're not one of those, right? It's about your actions, not your words. You have to make a decision to become an active part of the solution. Otherwise, you're being a passive part of the problem or an active part of the problem, right? So you can't sit back and be like and say, well, hey, I didn't do anything. I'm not doing nothing. I'm not racist. It ain't me. It's them. It's just those people. No. Doing nothing is a problem, because then you're allowing things to happen around you. So even in doing nothing, you're doing something, and that's causing a problem. And that's why Black people don't trust you, because you say, oh yeah, I care about you, I support you, equality, yeah, Black Lives Matter, whatever, let's just treat everybody equally, and let's just be loving, and let's not talk about what divides us and what separates us, but let's just focus on what brings us together. Well, that requires a certain level of action and a certain type of action from you as a white person, when you are the beneficiary of the same systems of oppression, anti-Black racism, systemic racism, white supremacy culture, that are harming us, that are killing us, that are holding us back, that are oppressing us, that are marginalizing us, that are discriminating against us. But you're saying, hey, I didn't do anything, I'm not doing nothing, hey, it's not me, it's them. That's not helpful. We don't trust you because you're not an active part of the solution, and your words are not aligning with your actions. So it's time for you to do better. You want to build trust with us? You have to do that through your actions, not your words. So where do you start? You start with anti-racism education, so that you can learn the things that you've never learned before, that you weren't taught growing up from your family, that you have not been taught in the racist school system, education system in America. You have to educate yourself first. That's where it starts.
Just because
Have you ever noticed how conversations about race always becomes uncomfortable the moment trust is mentioned? People will say, why can't we all just move on? Slavery was a long time ago. Not all white people are racist. But for many Black people around the world, especially in places like the United States, distrust didn't appear out of nowhere. It was built over centuries through betrayal, violence, broken promises, discrimination, and systems that often treated Black lives as less valuable. And here's the important part. This conversation is not about hating white people. It's about understanding history, trauma, and why certain feelings still exist today. Because you cannot heal what you refuse to understand. Today, we're going deep into the historical reasons many Black people struggle with trust when it comes to white institutions, white systems, and sometimes white individuals. Not to divide, but to understand. Before we even get into race, let's talk about trust itself. Trust is built when people feel safe, protected, heard, respected, and importantly, when they're treated fairly. And trust breaks when people experience violence, exploitation, manipulations, lies, injustice. Now imagine generations of your family experiencing those things repeatedly from the same power structure. Eventually, distrust becomes survival. For many Black communities, distrust is not random paranoia. It's inherited memory. Not genetically, but culturally, emotionally, socially. Stories passed down from grandparents, warnings from parents, experiences repeated in real time, and history explains why. Let's start with the obvious but uncomfortable truth. The transatlantic slave trade permanently shaped Black and white relations. Millions of Africans were kidnapped, sold, transported in horrific conditions, and enslaved across the Americas. Families were separated. Children sold away from their mothers. People whipped, beaten, tortured, and treated like property. And the people enforcing these systems were overwhelmingly white landowners, governments, and institutions. Imagine trying to trust a society that legally classified your ancestors as property. For over 200 years in America, slavery was legal. Not hidden, legal. Churches defended it. Politicians protected it. Businesses profited from it. And even after slavery ended, the damage didn't magically disappear. A lot of people think racism ended after slavery. It did not. After emancipation came segregation, Jim Crow laws, lynching, disenfranchisement. Black Americans were technically free, but denied equal access to education, housing, voting, employment, healthcare, justice. Entire Black communities were terrorized. And this is important. Many white Americans who weren't personally violent still benefited from systems that oppressed black people. That's why modern conversations become difficult. Because people here, you benefit from racism and think it means you personally hate black people. That's not always what's being said. The point is, systems can benefit one group while harming another, even if individuals inside the system feel innocent. And black communities notice these patterns for generations.
You got tricked does not mean I did. Simply because you adopted the white man's patriarchy does not mean that I adopted the white woman's feminism. Let me explain. Me being a black woman, and a very proud one at that, it should be assumed that when I say I am a feminist, I'm referring to intersectional feminism and also womanism. This reason alone is what lets me know that you all are projecting onto us. You adopted the white man's patriarchy. You are the one pushing European ideals onto your own community. Black women did not get swindled by feminism. Black women started feminism. This is why I say every accusation is a confession. You are confessing to me that you don't know the difference. You are confessing to me that you plagiarized another group's token of oppression. But that does not mean that black women plagiarize white women's movement for freedom and liberation. You have the distinct pleasure of sharing a race with some of the most innovative women on this planet. It's about time y'all start acting like it.
I just saw a post that this white woman put a caption that said, working with black women is working in the trenches. And then she stitched the video with a black woman saying that working in the trenches is working with white women. And she's like, oh, she can say this, but I can't say that. Correct. The black woman has every right to call out white women. You know why? Because racism is still alive and well. Black women still experience more oppression than you as a white woman will ever experience. It is not reverse racism. It is not the same thing. Reverse racism, not a thing. White oppression, not a thing. This is where intersectionality comes into play, right? You as a woman could be oppressed, but you as a white person, no, not a thing. However, a black woman experiences duality in that sort of oppression, correct? A woman and a person of color, correct? And truthfully, you proved the black woman's point. If the post wasn't about you, you wouldn't have gotten upset.
Now, one of the darkest parts of American history was racial terror lynching. Thousands of black people were murdered publicly, sometimes over false accusations, sometimes for succeeding economically, sometimes for simply existing in the wrong place. Crowds would gather, photos would be taken, children attended. Think about that. This wasn't hidden evil. It was socially accepted violence. Now imagine the psychological impact on generations of black families. How do you fully trust a society that once celebrated your suffering publicly? Distrust also grew because of direct government betrayal. One major example is the Tuskegee syphilis study. For decades, black men with syphilis were intentionally denied treatment by US health officials. Even after medicine became available, they were lied to, used as experiments, they were allowed to suffer. That single event deeply damaged trust in medical systems for many black Americans. And there were other examples too: housing discrimination, redlining, unequal sentencing, surveillance of black activists, police brutality. When institutions repeatedly fail a community, distrust becomes rational, not emotional weakness, rational response.
Recently saw a video of a black woman telling a group of white women that she will never trust them and will always be suspicious without even getting to know them just because they're white.
You know what I expect of white women? Not a damn thing. Nothing. I expect nothing of you because you have never given me anything. I can't trust you.
I want to explain why I am totally okay with that and why you should also be okay with it. As a white person, I have a weapon system that was built right into my skin from the day I was born that I can use against black or brown people whenever I want. And even though I have no intention of doing that, I could And that's what matters. Let me explain it this way. Imagine that there are two people sitting across from each other at a table, but one of them has a weapon aimed at the other. And this person keeps reassuring the other person saying, trust me, I'm not going to pull the trigger. I know every single other person that's looked like me has pulled the trigger, but I won't. I think anyone choosing to get up and walk away from that table and not take the chance is completely reasonable.
There are many white people who mean right and in heart want to do right, but there are so few. If 10,000 rattlesnakes was coming down that aisle now, and I had a door here I could shut, and in that 10,000, 1,000 meant right. 1,000 rattlesnakes didn't want to bite me. I knew they were good. Should I let all these rattlesnakes come down, hoping that 1,000 get together and form a Sheol? Or should I just close the door and stay safe?
Nobody owes us anything. It doesn't matter how nice you are. It doesn't matter how much you try. It doesn't matter how much you learn. Consent doesn't just apply to the physical body. It applies to the mental body, the social body, the emotional body. You can do everything right, and people still get to say no.
So yeah, I wouldn't say that I'm racist. I mean, if that means that I'm racist, then so be it. But me personally, I just severely do not trust white people. I don't trust white people more than I don't trust black people. I don't trust people in general, but I have a severe distrust of white people, even more than black people. Because there's always this little racial bias or racial hint behind it. That's exactly why, like, I would never date outside of my race, bro. After, like, I used to, I would never again, bro. Fuck no. Fuck no.
Lately, people have been assuming that I have white friends, and I have become more and more irritated because it's really offensive. And before you're like, oh, why is it offensive that people assume you have white friends? Let me show you the school I went to. I do rep my W gear at least once a week because I am proud of the school I went to, because I'm proud of myself for graduating. But this is the type of shit I had to deal with, and this is why I don't have any white friends, especially from W. Because what do you mean you held a visual for Charlie Kirk? These were the same people that were happy that Trump won that first election that he won. I had to walk around campus next to a whole bunch of white people with MAGA hats on. Do you know how comfortable that is for me? You think I could trust any of those white people that went to this school? So when people assume I have white friends, yes, I get offended. Because that means I would be a coon. And I never want to be labeled one of those. Okay? If I became friends with anybody from that white school, they wouldn't be able to be trusted. I'm sorry. Like, I wouldn't trust them. Because if not them, their family. If not their parents, their grandparents.
There are pale people on this app trying to tell you that they did not do what they did in history. They are rewriting history in our faces. They on this app rewriting history. There is a pale woman trying to blame black people for slavery. Can you believe this? Bitch, if you don't sit your dumb ass down, I hate these pale women, bro. Y'all are terrible. Just loud and wrong. And y'all bitches be the first ones to talk about the patriarchy. Oh my God, the world. You are the problem, bitch. You.
Did you know that white women were 40% of the slave owners in the US? So when black women say they would choose a bear over a white woman, this is one of the many reasons why. And keep in mind, women couldn't own a bank account until the 70s. Women couldn't own their own business until after I was alive. Without having a whole lot of rights, women were still 40% of the slave owners. And if you need more examples, during my time at corporate America, all of my biggest haters and dissenters were all white women, okay? Not the white men, white women, because we were taught that there's only so many positions for women at the top, and we had to fight each other for them. Rather than there being competition between like everyone at the company, women felt like they had to fight between themselves to get those spots. The majority of my biggest bullies in life have been older white women, okay? And a lot of times those have been in work environments where I have been actively pushed down by other women. So the next time you get your panties in a bunch when a black woman says that she trusts a white man over a white woman, just try to remember some of these examples.
Even during the civil rights movement, black Americans fighting peacefully were met with violence. People marching for basic rights were beaten, arrested, attacked by dogs, sprayed with fire hoses, assassinated. Figures like Martin Luther King Jr. preached peace, yet still faced hatred, and violence. And many Black Americans noticed something painful. Even when they followed the rules, even when they remained peaceful, they were still treated as threats. Now, here's where some people get defensive because they think, but I never owned slaves. And that's true. Most modern white people did not personally create historical racism, but many Black people judge trust not only by history, but by current experiences too. Examples include racial profiling, workplace discrimination, unequal policing, bias in school, stereotyping in media. Some Black people still feel watched more closely, punished more harshly, believed less often, and when modern experiences resemble historical patterns, old wounds open. And that's why history still matters. Media also shaped distrust. For decades, Black people were portrayed negatively in films, news, and television, criminalized, mocked, stereotyped. Meanwhile, whiteness was often presented as the default standard of intelligence, beauty, professionalism, and safety. These narratives affect how groups see each other, and they affect how institutions treat people too. Representation matters because perception shapes reality. Now let's be very clear. Not all white people are racist. Not all Black people distrust white people. And race conversations become dangerous when people start generalizing entire groups. There are white people who fought against slavery, white allies during civil rights, white activists today pushing for equality. And there are Black people who have strong, healthy, loving relationships with white friends, co-workers, and family members. Some are even married. Human beings are individuals, but ignoring collective history also helps nobody. You can acknowledge history without blaming every individual alive today. That balance matters. Race discussions become emotional because they touch identity. Many white people feel accused. Many Black people feel dismissed. One side says, stop blaming us. The other side says, stop ignoring what happened. And both sides often stop listening. Social media makes this worse. Everything becomes outrage. Algorithms reward anger. Nuance disappears. But healing requires uncomfortable honesty. Not guilt, not shame. It requires honesty. Can trust be built? Yes. But trust takes consistency. Communities rebuild trust through accountability, equal treatment, honest education, fair systems, empathy, listening without defensivism. You cannot force trust, you earn it. And rebuilding racial trust means acknowledging pain without becoming trapped in hatred, because hatred destroys everyone eventually. And at the end of the day, this conversation is really about humanity. History leaves fingerprints on the present. People don't wake up distrusting systems for no reason. Experiences shape perception. And understanding doesn't mean agreeing with every viewpoint. It means being willing to listen long enough to understand where feelings come from. That's how real progress starts. Not by pretending history didn't happen, and not by assuming every person today is their ancestors, but by learning, listening, and choosing to build something better than the generations before us. What do you think? Can racial trust be rebuilt? Or are historical wounds still too deep? Leave your thoughts in the comments respectfully. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more deep conversations about history, culture, and society. And remember, understanding history is not about staying stuck in the past. It's about understanding why the present looks the way it does. See you in the next video.